What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Sorry if I look tired. I couldn't sleep last night. I stayed up till 4 in the morning just not being able to go to sleep. It was ridiculous. And then I woke up at 10 and I just haven't been able to go to sleep. I feel tired, but I just can't go to sleep. It's freaking weird. But yeah, guys, anyway, today's video has to do with what it's like working at a mental health hospital. I worked as a psychiatric nurse aide for about a year. I recently resigned from my job February 16th. The reason I resigned was because I was just trying to get some type of medical experience in order to apply to nursing school, and I got accepted, so I thought it was time to just take a little break before school starts. But I'm looking at other jobs because it just feels weird not doing anything, especially because I took a semester off of school, so I'm not doing anything, and I'm just that type of person that needs to be doing something because I feel like I'm not doing enough. But yeah, hopefully I get a job soon. So yeah, let's get back to the details. So I worked there for about a year, and when I first started telling friends and family that I wanted to go into this field, I thought that they were gonna be supportive, but I was so wrong from that. A lot of my friends and family 100% were discouraging me from going and applying to that job because they would just tell me stories of people getting hurt because psychiatric hospitals have such a bad reputation. Let me tell you something that I've learned. A lot of the times when you tell people about your goals and what you want to do, there is a good percentage that they're gonna shut it down. But that's okay. Let them think that way because you know what you're capable of and you know what you're passionate about, and that's all you gotta worry about, not what they think, because they don't see the same dreams that you see. So just push them away, ignore them, ignore all those naysayers, because girl, you got this. You can do anything you put your mind to. But yeah, guys, after hearing friends and family just telling me not to apply, that made me a billion times want to do it, just to prove them wrong, because I'm stubborn that way. If you tell me I can't do this, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm not even gonna ask you for any more advice. You're gonna see me applying to whatever I want to apply to, and that's exactly what I did. I ended up applying and I got the job, and next thing you know, I'm doing training, which was not part of the hospital. This training was separate. They basically trained us for 2 weeks. A bunch of people who work at the hospital came and talked to us, and then at the end we actually got to learn things that we can do as self-defense. It was kind of fun doing that, just learning how to defend yourself, and we learned how to do CPR and all that good stuff. And then finally they shipped me off to the hospital, and I shadowed people for about 3 weeks until I finally got the hang of things, and I was able to just be on my own. And yeah, guys, so let me tell you about the typical day. I work the morning shift, so during the morning shift, the first thing we do is meet up in this room where the charge nurse that was in charge during the night, she comes in and just tells us about every single patient and how they're doing and what we should look out for, or patients that are one-on-one. By the way, one-on-one means that one of us as a psychiatric nurse aide is going to have to be with that patient throughout the whole day. But we rotate, so it's not just one person doing it during the whole 13-hour shift. We typically take turns every 2 hours, so yeah. And also, patients who are one-on-one are patients that are either suicidal, aggressive, sexually inappropriate, just stuff like that. So one of us always has to be with them. And then after they tell us about, every single patient and stuff, we go out and we start doing the chores that we are assigned. So every single one of us that works there, we're assigned a number. It's typically 1 through 4, but if there's some more people, we'll team up with the extra people. So number 1 is in charge of doing rounds first, which is just going to every single one of the patient's rooms or just noting down where the patient is, what they're doing for about 2 hours. Also, number 1 has to pick up linens from each of the rooms, and also they're in charge of doing the first admission, which is when we get a new patient brought to the hospital. They have to go to the back and have them sign a bunch of consent forms and do the patient's inventory of their personal belongings. And also they're in charge of doing the patient's vitals when doing admissions as well. Number 2 is in charge of visitation, cleaning the day room where the patients hang out and watch TV, also cleaning the nurses station, and just basically cleaning. And they're also in charge of getting the second admission. Number 3 is in charge of doing razors and hygiene. So when a patient wants to shave, that's why number 3 is in charge. So there will be somebody there watching them, and also somebody has to be there passing out hygiene, which is what number 3 does as well. And number 4 was my favorite. It's really chill. It's just basically cleaning and helping out anyone that needs help. So yeah, guys, that's typically what all the chores that we do. There's other things that we do as well, which is go to activities with the patients where they do arts and crafts and all these cool neat things, like they can bake, they can draw, they can paint, they can create like cool stuff basically. And also we are able to take them outside whenever one of us is available as well. So we do that. I'm usually the one that takes them outside because I just like being outdoors, and I feel like everybody needs a fresh breath of air, because when patients are stuck inside for a long time, I feel like they get a little bit aggravated. So just taking them out, to me, feels like it'll decrease the chances of something happening. So the next thing I want to talk about is why rounding is so important, especially in these types of hospitals. I'm gonna tell you a little story, so get ready. It's kind of graphic. So when I first started training at the hospital, I was shadowing with this one lady, and we were going from room to room picking up linen. She started talking to the patient, and I decided to just go ahead and go to the next room and pick up linen there. So I go in, I open the door, and what I see is something that I was not expecting at all. I see a young girl, she's on the floor, and she was known for going around the hospital and picking at the metal plates, trying to see which one is loose. She happened to pull the plate off of the outlet, like it was a metal plate. She propped it out, and she was on the floor cutting herself. And I reacted quickly. I took it out of her hand, and I called out to the lady I was shadowing. We were able to take her to the nurses' stations. They were able to stop her bleeding, and I caught her in time that the cut was not that severe. So that's why rounding is so important, because I know there's some staff that work at the hospital that sometimes they don't do rounding like it should be. It should be every 15 minutes. You need to go around the whole hospital and note down what every patient is doing. But also the thing is that patients can be sneaky as well. They are well aware that you as a staff are going and doing rounds every 15 minutes. Like, they have it down to the T. So you gotta watch out for patients who are smart like that. So definitely working here, you have to be on the lookout for anything that looks out of the ordinary, just in case something happens and you're able to prevent it. Another thing that I want to talk about is when something does happen, I feel like a lot of people assume that it's just gonna be you as the staff taking on an aggravated patient who's, flipping tables and stuff. And it's not like that at all. Basically, whenever something happens, we do it as a team. No one's ever alone when something chaotic happens. We try to use the least amount of force on the patient. We try to talk to them in the most calm way possible and try to let them understand that we know how they're feeling and we're gonna figure out what we can do to make you feel better. And when that doesn't happen, then we actually have to put some type of force on the patient. There's always a cop on the unit, so that's also helpful. And we basically have to take down the patient together, and the nurse has to give them the shot because they're being very aggressive towards staff and could possibly put the other patients in harm's way. So it is definitely necessary to give patients shots. By me saying this and telling you all these stories and stuff, I don't want you to get scared and think that in this field you're gonna get hurt, because let me tell y'all, since I worked there, I never have gotten hurt. That was never on my mind. If that was on my mind, then I would have never applied to this job. Like, I knew what I was getting into, and if you're planning to get into this field, you should be aware of what could happen. My goal being there was just to help out patients the best that I can. But one of the best things about this job is that it's been one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done. Like, it's been life-changing. Like, the things that I've learned, the things that I've seen, and the people that I've met, I freaking loved it. Like, you will have bad days, but there will be far more good days than bad days working at a psychiatric hospital. Patients are like any ordinary person, just like me and you. I feel like for them, just going out and seeking help is just amazing, and it just takes a lot of bravery to do that and realize that you need some type of help. So I applaud them. They're some of the most strongest people that I've ever met in my life. It's amazing to see patients who feel like they've lost hope and you're able to help them, and in the end they thank you, and you get to see them do just this 180 and completely turn their whole outlook on life around. Like, what other job will let you have these types of experience? So definitely, I 100% recommend anyone to go into the psychiatric field. It's not for everyone. You have to have the right mindset if you want to get into this job. Your emotions have to be stable, because there will be times when patients will tell you things that you don't necessarily agree with. You have to be genuine and accepting towards their opinions and things like that. So definitely, if you want to go into this field, just make sure you know what you're getting into. And overall, I highly just recommend just to go for it. Like, why not? It's an amazing field, and you'll learn so many skills, especially if you want to go into the nursing field. I feel like working here has prepared me so much, and being able to communicate with all kinds of people. And yeah, I definitely will take the skills I learned there and apply it to my future career. So yeah, guys, thank y'all for watching, and have a wonderful day. Adios.